Emily Carter vanished without a trace. But then the impossible happened. Her phone sent messages from beyond. Her GPS appeared in 2 places at once, and a faceless figure mimicked her every move. In this chilling true crime story, we explore the terrifying mystery of the girl who texted after she died. Watch as we uncover the events investigators couldn't explain, the reflections that haunted, and the warnings too horrifying to ignore. 2 hours after her body was found, her phone lit up. A text message was sent from her number to her best friend. Investigators knew one thing instantly. The girl definitely didn't send it. This is the true crime mystery of the girl who texted after she died. On September 14th at 8:47 p.m., Emily Carter walked out of her sociology night class at Ridgeview Community College. The security camera mounted above the door captured her perfectly. Denim jacket, black backpack, hair tied in a messy bun. She smiled at a classmate, waved, and stepped in the courtyard illuminated by orange sodium lamps. Emily wasn't the type to vanish. She was cautious, punctual, and overly responsible. The kind of girl who texted her mom the moment she stepped into her car, even if she was only driving 5 minutes home. That night, she never sent a text. Her phone records confirmed her last outgoing message at 8:42 p.m., 5 minutes before class ended. It was to her best friend, Tessa. Heading out now. Call you in a bit. But Emily never called, and she never made it to the student parking lot. The chilling part? She was seen on 3 different cameras, walking steadily toward her usual exit route. No sign of distress. No one following her. No unusual movement. Nothing to suggest fear or danger. And then she stepped behind a maintenance shed that sat between the courtyard and the parking lot. A blind spot for the cameras. She never emerged from the other side. The shed became the center of the investigation. Police searched it, tore apart every panel, lifted the foundation, dug beneath it. Nothing. No drag marks, no footprints, no sign of a struggle. Her keys weren't found. Her bag wasn't found. Emily was simply gone. By the time midnight rolled around, her parents were at the police station, trembling, begging officers to start a search. Missing persons protocols insisted on waiting 24 hours, but something about the case unsettled the responding officer, Detective Adrian Wolf. If her car is still here, he said, then she didn't leave willingly. He was right. Emily's car sat untouched, locked. Her phone charger still plugged into the dashboard, waiting for a phone that would never connect. At 2:13 a.m., the search officially began. Officers combed the campus. Bloodhounds were brought in. The entire perimeter was sealed. The dogs followed Emily's scent from the classroom, across the courtyard, behind the shed, and stopped. They circled the area, whining, pacing in confusion. Scent trails never just stop. Humans don't vanish into thin air, but Emily had. By sunrise, the case had already begun to spread through campus like a virus. Students whispered theories. Kidnapping, stalker, trafficking, runaway, all the predictable guesses. But the security footage made no sense. There had been no one else in that blind spot, not for 6 minutes before or after she passed through it. Detective Wolf reviewed the footage at least 20 times, freezing frames, zooming, enhancing shadows and edges. But after hours of analysis, he noticed something that made the hair on the back of his neck rise. Just before Emily stepped behind the shed, the shadow cast on the ground beside hers wasn't her shadow. It was taller, distorted, as if someone or something had been standing right next to her. Someone who wasn't visible on the camera. Someone who didn't appear on any footage at all. 3 days after Emily Carter vanished, her parents were still clinging to hope. The police had scoured the campus, the surrounding streets, the wooded trails nearby. Volunteers combed the area, but there were no leads, no sightings, no evidence, no trace of Emily. Then, at 3:17 a.m., something impossible happened. Her father, Mark Carter, stirred awake to the sound of his phone buzzing. Half asleep, he reached over and saw a notification from Emily's number. "I'm okay. Don't worry." Mark froze. His mind raced. Emily had been missing for 3 full days. She had no phone service that he knew of, no way to send messages from wherever she had gone, and yet there it was, glowing on his screen. He called the number immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. Hesitantly, he texted back, "Emily, where are you?" Seconds later, another reply appeared. "Not far. Don't come looking." Panic surged through Mark's chest. He showed the messages to his wife, Claire, who was trembling uncontrollably. They brought the phone to Detective Wolf, the lead investigator. Wolf examined it carefully. The number matched Emily's SIM card exactly. There were no signs of hacking, no spoofing. The metadata confirmed that the messages originated from Emily's phone itself. And yet, Emily wasn't physically anywhere the phone should have been. Over the next 12 hours, the messages continued. Each text contained details that only Emily would know. The color of her roommate's new blanket, a conversation she'd had with a professor the previous day, even a joke she'd whispered to her best friend during class. But the content of the messages became increasingly strange. References to locations Emily had never visited. Descriptions of hallways, streets, and buildings that didn't exist, or at least couldn't be verified. By that evening, the police were involved in full-scale digital tracing. Every tower, every ping, every IP address was analyzed. It was impossible. The phone seemed to jump locations across the city in ways no human could. At one point, the messages arrived while Emily's parents were sitting in the same room. The phone's GPS tracker showed it 3 miles away at the exact same time. Then came the final chilling detail. In one of the texts, Emily wrote, "I can see you watching me." There was no camera in the house at that moment. No one was in the room. And yet the words carried an undeniable sense of awareness, a knowledge she could not possibly have without being present. Detective Wolf's team began to wonder if Emily's disappearance was more than just a missing person case. Could a person send messages from a place they were not? Or worse, were these messages coming from something else entirely? That night, Wolf stayed at the Carter home to observe. At 2:03 a.m., the phone buzzed again. He picked it up, hands shaking. "Stop looking for me." It was the last text received that day, and the one that would haunt every investigator on the case for years to come. Detective Wolf knew the text messages were strange, impossible even, but nothing prepared him for what came next. 3 nights after the last message, Emily's parents received a tip from a concerned neighbor. The CCTV camera at a nearby gas station might have captured something unusual. The police immediately obtained the footage. When Wolf and his team reviewed the time-stamped video from 10:42 p.m., their blood ran cold. The camera showed Emily's phone, lying alone on the counter, illuminated under the harsh fluorescent lights. A delivery had been placed, and the clerk had stepped away briefly. Nothing strange there, except behind the phone, a figure slowly materialized. It was wearing Emily's clothes, the denim jacket, black backpack, and dark jeans. But her face was blurred, distorted by some inexplicable glare or digital anomaly. Wolf rewound the footage. The figure was there the whole time, standing motionless, as if it had been waiting. The most terrifying detail: the figure did not move naturally. Its movements were jerky, mechanical, almost inhuman. Its head tilted slightly, then corrected itself in a manner inconsistent with human anatomy. The team enhanced the footage. The reflection on the gas station window confirmed the worst-case scenario. The figure's face had no discernible features. The eyes, nose, and mouth were entirely absent. A blank canvas of skin where Emily's face should have been. It didn't appear to be a glitch. It didn't appear to be a reflection. It appeared alive. Further investigation revealed something even more disturbing. Emily's phone was actively sending texts during the time the footage was recorded. Every message the family received after her disappearance coincided with a timestamp when the camera captured the figure behind the phone. Forensics experts tried everything: SIM card analysis, cellular triangulation, IP tracing. None of it made sense. The phone's GPS pinged wildly, sometimes showing her device on the other side of town, sometimes at her parent home, yet the texts always aligned to the moments when the figure appeared on camera. The text became more urgent. At 11:03 p.m., a message read, "They're watching you two." Emily's parents panicked. Who were they? And why was her phone capable of sending messages from a place where no human being could be present? Detective Wolf began considering alternatives that terrified him. Could someone have duplicated Emily's body? Or worse, was there an entity using her phone, her clothes, even her identity, to manipulate her family? The gas station footage was released to a small circle of investigators, and almost immediately, rumors began circulating. Security experts refused to explain the anomaly. Some described the figure as a shadow with intent rather than a person. The most haunting part, Emily's last message, "Stop looking for me," arrived during the same time period the figure lingered behind the counter, as if she or whatever was impersonating her was sending warnings in real time. The text messages were no longer simply strange. They were a threat. And for Detective Wolf, the investigation had officially crossed a line from missing person case to something far darker. After the CCTV footage surfaced, the Carter family's world became a waking nightmare. Detective Wolf knew he had to trace Emily's last known locations, but every clue led to impossible contradictions. 2 nights later, at 1:47 a.m., Emily's phone sent another text. "I'm inside. Don't follow." Her parents were frantic. Wolf instructed them to remain calm and stay inside. He mobilized a team to track the phone's GPS. But when he looked at the signal, his brow furrowed. The device was pinpointed to a small apartment complex on the far side of town, an address that did not exist. Google Maps, postal records, utility services, nothing. Yet the phone remained there, sending messages with chilling precision. Wolf decided to investigate personally. He drove to the coordinates. It was a nondescript lot, a patch of overgrown weeds, cracked asphalt, and abandoned fencing. No apartment complex. No street number. Nothing that could accommodate a single human being, let alone Emily. But the phone's signal remained active. Wolf crouched near the weeds, holding a tablet that tracked the GPS in real time. Then he noticed something disturbing on the screen. The signal was moving slowly, deliberately, toward the center of the lot. He scanned the area. Nothing. No sounds. No figures. Just the cold hum of the city at night. Then, at 2:03 a.m., the phone buzzed again with a text. "I can see you watching." Wolf froze. The hairs on his neck stood on end. He looked around, expecting shadows, branches, maybe an intruder. Nothing moved, yet he felt eyes on him. Suddenly, the tablet's GPS jumped, as though the phone had teleported 20 feet to the north. Wolf spun around. No apartment. No one. Nothing. He raised his flashlight. Its beam fell on a faint outline, a door frame suspended in thin air. The edges shimmered like heat waves on asphalt. Wolf stepped closer. His heart pounded, rational thought screaming at him to stop. But curiosity or obsession drove him forward. The door frame wasn't attached to anything. The walls behind it didn't exist, yet he could see a faint glow inside. A figure moved. Emily, unmistakably, wearing the denim jacket, backpack slung over her shoulder, and hair in a messy bun. He reached out. The figure turned, smiled, and raised a finger, a silent warning. Wolf took a step closer. The glow flickered in the door frame, along with the entire apartment, vanished. Only weeds and cracked asphalt remained. Back at the Carter home, her phone buzzed again. "Stop chasing me." Wolf knew this wasn't just a missing person case anymore. Someone or something was manipulating space, technology, and perception itself. The messages weren't merely warnings. They were taunts. Emily wasn't just missing. She was somewhere that shouldn't exist. And every time someone tried to find her, the impossible grew more impossible. By the 5th day of Emily Carter's disappearance, the investigation had transformed from a missing person case into something unrecognizable. Detective Wolf and his team were exhausted, and the Carter family lived in a state of constant dread. Then a new clue arrived, one that chilled everyone to the bone. Tessa, Emily's best friend, had been reviewing old photos of Emily on her phone, hoping for any overlooked detail. She noticed something odd. In several photos, casual selfies, candid campus snapshots, even group pictures taken days before Emily vanished, there was a shadowy figure lurking behind her. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't a trick of lighting. It appeared consistently in the background, its shape vaguely human, taller than normal. with a head slightly tilted and no visible facial features. Tessa sent screenshots to Detective Wolf. He studied them under magnification, adjusting brightness and contrast, enlarging the shadows. The figure wasn't a reflection. It wasn't a friend hiding in the background. It wasn't a random artifact of the camera. It was the same shadow. The most horrifying detail. The figure appeared in photos taken from different locations across campus and the city, from the dormitory hallways to the library courtyard, even in her bedroom photos. The shadow was always there, almost as if it was following her, waiting for something. Then, at 11:18 p.m., Tessa received a text from Emily's number. "Look closer. I'm always here." Tessa froze. Her fingers trembled. She called Detective Wolf immediately. Wolf examined the phone. The text came from Emily's device, still active despite the fact that the girl had been missing for days. Wolf instructed the team to cross-reference every known photo and CCTV image from the week leading up to Emily's disappearance. The result was worse than anyone imagined. The shadow appeared in every single image, often positioned in places no one had noticed at first glance. Behind the counter of the gas station, across the sidewalk in the parking lot, along the path to the shed where she vanished. Every attempt to catch it on live surveillance failed. Cameras in multiple locations recorded nothing unusual in real time, yet the shadow appeared consistently in recorded images. It didn't move naturally. Its proportions were slightly wrong. Its presence was almost supernatural. Then a text arrived. "You can't help me. You're too late." Wolf examined the timing. The text arrived simultaneously with a GPS ping from the phone, which indicated it was inside the Carter home. Yet Emily's room was empty. The detective began to suspect that whoever or whatever had taken control of Emily's phone could also manipulate images and perception, that the shadow wasn't just an observer. It was a manifestation of something far beyond normal understanding. The Carter family's walls no longer felt safe. Every photo, every reflection, every shadow could be her or something else entirely. And in every one of those moments, the same message echoed. Emily was not gone. She was trapped somewhere impossible, and the shadow was waiting. By the sixth day, the Carter household was a prison of fear. Emily's phone continued sending messages. The shadow persisted in photographs, and every lead seemed more impossible than the last. Detective Wolf knew that traditional investigation methods were failing. Late that night, a strange occurrence escalated the terror. At 2:33 a.m., Emily's phone rang. The display showed her name, but it wasn't an incoming call from another person. It was her own device calling itself. Mark Carter hesitated before answering. A wave of dread filled the room as he put the phone to his ear. At first, there was silence. Then a voice whispered, unmistakably Emily's. "I can't hear you." The voice was soft, eerie, and unbrokenly calm. It wasn't screaming or panicked. It was knowing. Every word was deliberate, almost rehearsed. Mark stammered, asking where she was. The line crackled, but the voice only repeated variations of one chilling phrase. "You can't reach me. Stop looking for me." Claire snatched the phone. She begged Emily to give them any clue, any location, any hint. The line went silent for 30 seconds. Then a new sound, faint at first, almost mechanical, echoed behind Emily's voice. It was breathing, but not human. Shallow, rhythmic, metallic. A sound like air forced through a hollow tube, punctuated with faint static. Detective Wolf, who was on speakerphone, felt a cold chill crawl up his spine. Technical analysis later confirmed that the audio was impossible to replicate naturally. The frequency and modulation patterns indicated human voice, but layered with distortions that no known device could produce. When Wolf attempted to triangulate the call, the results defied logic. The GPS pinged Emily's phone in multiple locations at once. Her bedroom, a nearby alley in the middle of forest reserved more than 20 miles away. Emily's voice continued, almost conversational now. "I can see what you're doing. Every step, every thought, every hope." The call ended abruptly. The Carter family sat frozen, unable to speak. Wolf replayed the recording, but the final seconds were blank. No voice, no noise, nothing. Yet the residual vibrations in the audio file suggested movement in the room, even though all sensors indicated it was empty. By morning, the call had become the focal point of the case. The police consulted digital forensics, paranormal specialists, and behavioral analysts, but no one could explain the simultaneous GPS readings, the impossible voice modulations, or the way the messages correlated perfectly with the gas station and shed sightings. Wolf began to suspect that Emily's disappearance was no longer confined to the physical world. Her phone, her messages, her calls, they were extensions of her presence, manipulated by something that could exist in multiple places at once. And in every communication, one truth became horrifyingly clear. Emily wasn't just missing. She was being watched, and whoever, or whatever, controlled her voice was watching everyone else too. The morning after Emily's impossible phone call, Detective Wolf focused on one disturbing detail. The GPS had pinged her device in two locations at once, her bedroom and a remote forest reserve 20 miles away. The bedroom ping made no sense. The phone wasn't there. But the forest? That was something he could investigate. By afternoon, Wolf and a small search team entered Blackwater Forest, following the coordinates that had flashed during the call. The deeper they went, the more oppressive the air became. The tall pines swallowed sound. Even the wind seemed to die among the branches. At precisely 4:11 p.m., the phone pinged again. Same location, deeper into the woods. Wolf tightened his grip on the handheld tracker and motioned the team forward. They found something half buried beneath leaves and moss, a small, antique-looking metal key, not rusted, not weathered, as if someone had placed it there recently. Attached to it was a slip of paper with two words written in Emily's handwriting. "Don't open." Wolf pocketed the key. The forest grew colder. The GPS showed the phone was still ahead, but moving slowly, as if someone was walking with it. The team continued until they reached a clearing warped by something unnatural. The sunlight didn't enter normally. It arrived in thin, fractured beams, like shards of glass. In the center of the clearing stood a structure that hadn't been marked on any map. It was an old hunting cabin, or what looked like one. Its boards were too new, its windows too intact, as if it had been rebuilt recently by someone who wasn't supposed to be here. The phone pinged again. Inside, Wolf approached cautiously and knocked on the door. No answer. The air thickened, humming with a low, vibrating frequency. He pressed his ear to the wood and froze. There were footsteps inside, but they didn't walk like a person. They scraped, dragged, stopped. Another ping. The phone was moving toward the door from the inside. Wolf stepped back and drew his flashlight. But before he could enter, the cabin door creaked open on its own. Darkness pooled inside, thick and tar-like. No light reflected from within. It was as if the interior swallowed it. Then something moved in the darkness. A figure, small, familiar, wearing a denim jacket. "Emily?" Wolf whispered. The figure moved closer to the doorway. Slowly, too slowly. Its limbs bent at angles that hurt to look at. Its head tilted the same unnatural way the CCTV figure had. Wolf raised his light. And what stood there was not Emily. It had her height, her clothes, but its face was completely smooth, featureless. A blank surface. No eyes, no mouth, no humanity. The thing stepped forward, and the forest went dead silent. Wolf stumbled back, horror freezing his limbs. But then his radio crackled. A voice whispered through the static. "That's not me." Emily's voice, coming from the radio, not the creature. Before the team could react, the figure lunged back into the cabin. The door slammed shut, and the GPS signal vanished entirely. Whatever Emily was, wherever she truly was, she wasn't inside that cabin. Something else was, and it was using her shape. After the terrifying encounter in Blackwater Forest, Detective Wolf returned to the Carter home with a growing conviction. Emily's disappearance was no longer a simple case. Something beyond comprehension was manipulating her phone, her messages, and her image. The next day, another message arrived from Emily's number. Timestamp, 12:07 a.m. Check the closet. The first warning is there. Claire Carter froze. Her mind raced. She knew the closet in Emily's bedroom was empty. She had cleaned it thoroughly, scanning every inch for anything unusual. Wolf arrived within 10 minutes. He approached cautiously, flashlight in hand. The closet doors creaked as they opened. Inside, everything seemed normal. Clothes hanging, shoes neatly lined, the familiar posters of Emily's favorite band still taped the walls. Then Wolf noticed something odd. A small envelope tucked behind a stack of folded sweaters. Inside was a note, written in Emily's handwriting. "They are closer than you think. Don't look behind you." Wolf's blood ran cold. The handwriting matched Emily's perfectly, yet she had been missing for over a week. Every detail was precise, almost eerily intentional. Then the phone buzzed again. 10:15 a.m., watch the news. Wolf and the Carters turned on the television. Local news was reporting on a separate incident. A pedestrian who had disappeared while walking down a downtown street, right in broad daylight. Surveillance cameras had caught a figure in the area moments before the disappearance. The figure was tall, distorted, wearing a denim jacket. Strikingly similar to the faceless figure the team had seen in the gas station and the forest. Emily's phone buzzed once more, predicting something that hadn't yet happened. Tomorrow, 3:22 p.m., the next move. Wolf began to document each text and timestamp, creating a timeline. He realized something horrifying. The messages weren't just communication. They were forecasts of events, guiding both him and Emily's family toward occurrences that had not yet happened. And the strangest part? Every prediction came true, almost always within minutes or hours. The implications terrified Wolf. Emily's disappearance wasn't just a crime. It was a sequence of events being orchestrated through her phone, manipulating reality around her. That night, Wolf noticed the shadows in the Carter home had begun to behave strangely. Every corner, every reflection, every window seemed to flicker with movement. The featureless figure he had seen in the forest was here, watching. A text arrived just before midnight. "I can see you. Don't let them touch me." Wolf sat back, shaken. He understood the truth. Emily's phone had become a conduit. Messages from her were no longer merely alerts or warnings. They were instructions, clues to prevent something worse, guiding them step by step in a puzzle that defied logic. But Wolf also realized another chilling truth. The faceless figure wasn't Emily. It was something that could imitate her. And as long as it existed, Emily's voice, her presence, was trapped somewhere impossible, screaming through texts, warnings, and predictions, trying desperately to make herself understood. By the 9th day, Emily Carter's disappearance had completely consumed the Carter household. Detective Wolf had warned the family not to touch mirrors, glass, or any reflective surface at night. Yet curiosity and terror made them unavoidable. At 11:42 p.m., Claire was brushing her teeth in the bathroom when she noticed something impossible. In the reflection of the mirror, a figure stood behind her. Denim jacket, black backpack, and the unmistakable outline of Emily's hair in a messy bun. Her heart stopped. She spun around. No one was there. The bathroom was empty, but the reflection persisted. Wolf arrived immediately after Claire called him, flashlight in hand. He instructed her to keep her eyes on the mirror while he examined the room. The reflection in the glass wasn't static. It moved slightly, a head tilt here, a step back there, but when Wolf checked, the bathroom remained empty. Then, the figure raised a hand and pointed toward the window. Wolf turned slowly. Outside, the night was still, the streetlights glowing softly. Nothing unusual. A faint buzz interrupted the tension. Emily's phone, sitting on the kitchen counter, flashed a new message. Behind the glass. They are close. Don't trust shadows. Wolf's stomach turned. Shadows wasn't metaphorical. Every photo, every CCTV clip, every prediction from Emily's phone referenced shadows. Faceless, distorted, and impossible to trace. Suddenly, the reflection began to distort. Emily's features melted into smooth, featureless skin. The denim jacket remained, but the face had vanished entirely. Exactly like the faceless figure seen in the gas station, the forest, and every CCTV footage. Wolf attempted to step closer. The moment he crossed the threshold, the reflection disappeared. Not in the glass. In reality, the room remained empty. Yet the chill in the air suggested something was very much present. Then a whisper echoed to the bathroom, faint but unmistakable. "You're too late." It wasn't the phone this time. It came from the mirror itself. Wolf checked for hidden speakers. None. No ventilation ducts. Nothing that could have produced a sound. The reflection had become a portal, a window into something beyond human perception. Wolf realized that the faceless figure wasn't just imitating Emily. It had learned her habits, her movements, her body language, and now it was using reflections as a medium to manipulate those trying to find her. Emily's messages, texts, and phone calls weren't just communication. They were an attempt to warn her family and Wolf of the entity's capabilities, a warning Wolf had failed to fully grasp until now. The final text arrived at 11:55 p.m. Look, but do not touch. I am not here. Wolf stood frozen. The bathroom felt impossibly large, the shadows deeper than they should be. The faceless figure had not only imitated Emily, but used the physical world to frighten those who tried to save her, keeping her trapped in a dimension that defied explanation. One thought consumed him. If the figure could use reflections, what else could it manipulate? And more terrifyingly, what else had it planned? By the 10th night, the Carter household was consumed by exhaustion, terror, and confusion. Emily's disappearance had stretched beyond logic. Her phone continued sending messages, predicting events and warnings that no human could anticipate. The faceless figure had become an omnipresent nightmare. At 2:01 a.m., the phone buzzed again. This time, Wolf and the Carters gathered around, dreading the message. Tonight, the last chance. No further explanation. No coordinates. Just those 3 words. Wolf decided the only way forward was to trace the phone physically. He packed equipment. GPS tracker, camera, and a recorder for audio anomalies. Claire and Mark refused to leave her side, even as he warned them it might be dangerous. The signal led them back to the abandoned maintenance shed, the same location Emily had vanished from. Only this time, the surroundings felt heavier, oppressive. The air smelled metallic, faintly of ozone. Inside, the shed was empty. Dust swirled in the flashlight beams. Wolf checked the tablet. The phone's GPS pinged somewhere inside the structure. Impossible. There was nothing there. Then, a whisper, Emily's voice, came from the recorder. Do not follow. You will see them. Suddenly, the faceless figure appeared in the corner. It moved unnaturally, its limbs bending in impossible angles. The denim jacket, the backpack, Emily's image, but the face was smooth, featureless. Emily's voice came again, louder this time. I am not here. I am trapped. They cannot take you too. The figure shifted. Wolf noticed its reflection in the small metal panels lining the shed. In each reflection, the same figure multiplied. Dozens, perhaps hundreds, all faceless, all mimicking Emily. The shed seemed to stretch endlessly in the reflections, though the actual space was small. Then the phone buzzed in Wolf's pocket. The text read, Leave now. Close your eyes. Remember me. He hesitated. Wolf realized this was Emily's final message. Not a clue, not a warning, but a plea. Her voice had been guiding them all along, a tether to reality. If they disobeyed, the faceless figure might reach out beyond the shed, beyond the GPS, beyond the phone. The Carters, tears streaming, urged Wolf to follow the instructions. Everyone closed their eyes. The air vibrated. A low hum filled the shed. Then silence. When they opened their eyes, the shed was empty. The GPS ping vanished. Emily's phone lay on the floor, completely lifeless. The investigators found no sign of Emily, the figure, or anything supernatural. Yet Wolf noticed something chilling. Faint footprints, irregular and elongated, leading out of the shed, as if someone had stepped into a space between worlds. Days later, the Carter family received a final text from Emily's number. It read simply, I am safe now. Remember me and do not forget. No reply could be sent. No further pings. No reflections. Emily Carter was gone. Her body never recovered. But the faceless figure had disappeared too. The case remains open. Investigators continue to study the CCTV footage, the messages, and the GPS anomalies. Experts call it unsolvable. Paranormal theorists call it a consciousness trapped between worlds. For Detective Wolf, the haunting truth lingers. Emily's disappearance wasn't just a mystery. It was a warning about the thin line between the digital and the physical, life and something beyond life itself. And some nights, when he closes his eyes, he swears he can see a denim jacket moving just beyond the shadows, waiting, watching.